AI is not going to take your job. AI has no agency. It is not applying for jobs. It doesn't want them, right? Like, it's not a thing that has
It's not gonna
a
take.
choice. It's not
Okay.
taking anything from you.
Yeah.
What will happen is your boss and your company will give your job to a machine.
Okay.
That is a different
It's a different.
motivation, behavior, action. Like, so don't be afraid of the machine. Be afraid of what is going on at your business that warrants them deciding that machines are going to take the jobs of people. Because that is the space where we have to, like, all collectively be really deliberate about it. Because some of the things will be that companies are deploying are probably not quite good enough to do the task. So if we look at recent headlines, so back when we started, probably I will say April after we started the program,
Mm.
Klarna did this whole big press release about how they built an agent as a warning to everyone. This was their big warning to the world, is how they phrased it in, I think, their press release. Was they built an agent, it could do the work of 700 people, and oh, kind of, by the way, we laid off 700 people. Klarna 1 month ago went, hey, we're hiring people in our service center because that agent thing didn't, like, it just wasn't
Didn't
that good of a
deliver.
quality.
Yes.
So yes, they're maturing, right? Like, and yes, they will get better, but we have to be really deliberate about it. And you could potentially damage your company, your customers, your employees while you're learning. So unless you treat it like you're learning, which is part of the point of the paper, and acknowledge that it is different and we don't know, and all of our existing ways are maybe not sufficient to just do things the way that we've been doing them, cutting out all the people stuff, just going straight to the tech and treating everything like a grand experiment without the people involved, that we are probably going to make a little bit of a mess. And that the job loss and the job impacts will show up because we are extremely technocentric and very much focused on
Wow.
the difficulty of the AI, and then assuming that because it's got, and this is the fifth thing that I don't have in the paper, a language interface that
Mm.
feels human in some capacities, like that it'll work itself out. Because it's like talking to a person, you don't need to worry about the people, they'll just talk to it like a person. But most of the time you find out that it doesn't quite talk like a person. You definitely have to tell it how to talk like a person
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when you're building it out. You have to tell it what you
Plasters.
do
Yeah.
want to talk about, don't want to talk about, right? All these plasters and
Yeah.
figuring out how you want it to engage on your behalf. And by the way, it can't probably do everything. So you really have to tell people what to
The
expect.
limits and the
Yeah.
yeah the
Like
tensions.
how do you want to interact with it? What are they still responsible for?
You're making me think about the AI sales people. Like they want to sell,
Yeah.
because like a salesman has to speak wonders about the
Of course.
the
You
good
have to
things
inspire.
exactly, and they are gonna be techno optimists, and it's gonna save you a lot of money,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like like that's really dangerous.
Well, and companies are the flip side of that, maybe the same side of that coin.
Okay.
Is companies also want to tell you about the success they have,
Oh, that's that too.
right? So if they've spent
They want to share the good news.
$2-3 million on
and
an
hide
experiment,
the bad
they
news.
won't say that, like, and then that was a total waste of time and it's garbage. They will say, like, oh yeah, we're definitely getting benefit of that. We're leading the way and we're ahead of all of you people, right? Like,
Yeah.
companies don't talk about the money they waste,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
That's true. That's true. And that generates a fake environment,
That's right.
a bubble,
Frenzy. Yeah.
a frenzy. Jesus. Whew. Walking on eggshells and then like, don't tell this to any, the budgets, but the budgets will come out.
That's right.
And then the stocks are going to. Do you think there's a fake?
Oh, we don't have to talk about that though.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
companies do not have to disclose necessarily,
That's not. Yeah. It's
what
not
they're
public
spending money on.
information. Yeah.
Like, systems are systems.
Perhaps investors would pressure and
I mean,
ask.
they'll ask on calls, but
depends on the
yeah.
size but there's I'm sure that wow, oh my god. But I like how you made an emphasis on how we say what is happening. You say like it's not like they're gonna take your jobs. It's like you have to, because that shifts attention.
That's
It
right.
changes the whole way. That's why words and meaning matters
Yeah.
so much. If we're not approaching and asking the right questions, then so for the listeners and the viewers, what could they do in like in this sense? Like if their
Yeah.
company, if they hear a rumor, the water cooler conversation, like they're starting to look into this technology, what could be done, like for them to protect their,
Yeah, I mean, I think
job?
to your point, like, this genie isn't going back in the bottle, probably. So I think our responsibility collectively is to question what we're using the tech for and what about it will make it the best solution. So instead of treating it like AI can fix everything and it will come in and do all the work, or will come in and take X job or task or what have you, when we're working on these projects together, whether it's business people, technology teams, project teams usually consist of both of those groups of people, leaders in the organization that are funding these projects, being able to say why this is the solution and what about it makes it optimal is important, because A, you won't design those characteristics in if you can't articulate why it's better. And B, you won't be bringing everyone along with you to understand, oh, okay, well, where are the edges about where people are going to participate and the machine is going to do some work? And how do we define what somebody's responsibilities are? And what is the machine characteristic versus the human characteristic that helps us separate out what tasks or what work we'll give to AI versus what work we want to keep for people? And if companies or departments or organizations don't spend at least some time really understanding their position on that, they will more than likely make the Klarna mess of like, oh, we thought it was great, we did the thing, we didn't really think about the rest of the stuff, got rid of a bunch of people, and then we just turned this thing on to go do the stuff. If you get together and go like, okay, we're going to use the machines for this, but not for this, or we're going to question our assumption about, does AI need to be empathetic? Right? Like, well, no, it's not a person, right? Like it doesn't have empathy.
Yeah.
So why do you think
Simulate
that
it.
you want to, build it into your systems and simulate empathy? I had a really, I know this is not answering the question, but it was a really interesting story. I was chatting with someone who was working with a bank, and they were telling me that they, work with wealth management, and you wouldn't believe, like, people call this like moments, minutes, hours, or whatever after someone in the family passes away, and they need to deal with the accounts or figure out where the money is to pay for stuff. Right? It's one of the first things you have to do: figure out how to pay final medical bills, or pay the mortuary, or the funeral director.
Figure that out.
You have to figure stuff out.
And you have some hours to do.
Yeah, it's like you have to figure that out right away. And so he's like, so AI could really help, but like it needs to be empathetic. And I was like, hey, listen, man. If my mother passes away and I have to call a bank immediately, what I don't want is machine empathy. What I want is for that thing to say,
Machine empathy. Whoa.
maybe like, I'm sorry, like, oh, the company is sorry to hear that. Not I'm sorry, because again, you're a machine and I know you're not.
Yeah.
But like the company is sorry for your loss. We want to get you through this as fast
and
as possible.
Easily, yeah.
Here are 25 things that need to be done on your mother's accounts. Here are the first 3 things you should do. Do you want me to take that action for you now? Without a whole big rigmarole. I just want it to be fast. And I don't want to have to talk to you because I'm probably crying.
Griefing. Yeah. Wow.
But don't think you need to make the machine the equivalent of the person.
Yeah.
Because if I had to call and talk to a person, that person also probably should be empathetic. Right?
A person.
I would be annoyed if they were like, oh, well, let me handle this for you, blah, 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 blah. And like, oh, I can't understand you. Could you stop crying for a minute? Like, nobody wants that.
Oh my God, yeah.
But a machine
Be patient
should act like a machine, right?
I
Like, so
agree. I
we
agree.
probably need to question these weird design decisions we're making about like, oh, it needs to act exactly like the person. Like, we should let it be what it is. If we're going to bring it in, let it be what it's good at, let it do what it's doing.
Yeah.
And then, make it not rude, make it not whatever, but it doesn't need a personality, right?
I agree.
I am all for companies turning on a customer service agent and letting me do something very quickly, but I would honestly rather have it ask me like, do you want me to process this return on your behalf? Say like press 1 or 2 and me type 1 instead of yes, please, thank you very much, right? Like I'm also not looking to engage in conversation with these things.
I read that even OpenAI was frustrated with this because it costs them a fortune.
Yeah,
because everyone says thanks.
Yeah, shut up.
Stop saying and that's anthropomorphization. That's a hard word,
Right, but we also don't want people to start acting like jerks in texts because that will float over to people right away.
That's gonna go into and that reminds me of
But that's why I think we should say like, oh, this is an agent for this bank, and this agent is like not Susie or Mateos or some other name that's like, hi, how can I help you? I'm this big person. Thing, blah 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 blah. Stop it.
Choose your personality.
It is
choose the
bank bot number 72. Like, just work it out.
Yeah.
Name it what its job is. Like, name it wealth management bot. That's fine. Like, stop trying to make me be my friend.
Jeez.
I don't want it to be my friend. I just want it to do something. fast.
So this brings me to one of your conclusions, which is people working on this, they shouldn't focus on exclusive like IT solutions. They should also connect with human resources and other disciplines to make it better, right? And how could this work in practice? Like what could change for the better in this sense?
Yeah, the three things that I ask folks to do when we're talking through this is, if you don't think about what you're turning on with AI, whether it's an agent or a bot or a co-pilot or whatever people are calling these assistants, don't think about it as doing a process. Because if you just want to give it like, you know, step 1, if yes or no, step 2, step 3, like it's supposed to be doing some reasoning for you, right? So if you have to tell it exactly everything to do in order, it's not AI.
Okay.
Like let RPA do it. Like let remote process automation do it. Like you can already do that with technology. Go do that. Think about what it can do with its capacity and make that happen. And when you're doing that, think about how you would train an employee to do the work. So the analogies I like to bring into people are like, pretend you just got like 1,000 super eager interns. You don't just like put them on phones and let them go. You train them. You probably give them a manager.
Yeah.
That manager probably makes them take a couple of like compliance trainings or like read a book
You
or read an
supervise them.
article,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You either spot check their work or see everything they do. They shadow somebody. Like
There are
think
many
about how you
things.
would train this to do the work, not the steps, because you hire people into your organization. You hire interns out of a college that has been training people in something related to your business.
Yeah, but not your
For a reason,
It
right? Like you
takes
don't
years.
just hire a stranger off the street and drop them in front of a thing and say
Not
like,
for-
oh, you know how to think like a person, so that's probably enough. Or like, go read the internet and now you can do everything at this company. So think about what laws apply to your company. How is the machine, how's the agent, the AI going to know that? Think about what your brand is, right? Every company you go into has some sort of brand playbook. Use these colors, use these fonts, say these things, don't say these things. Our tone is X, our personality is Y, whatever. But how does the AI know that, right? How are you going to get this information in there? So HR will have an opinion, marketing will have an opinion, compliance will have an opinion, risk will have an opinion, legal will have an opinion, the business department itself will have an opinion. Find ways to get that content digital so that it knows, or you can train it on what to do. And if there's too much, like you truly need expertise, then it's only ever going to be a companion to the person doing the work with the expertise, right? Give it a task that is small enough to be helpful with the information you can give it. And do not use these things to just cover up bad data. Like, don't think that you can show up with like crappy data and unstructured documents that are old and somehow the
it's
AI
gonna
is just going to
pick up
read through the
everything.
lines and be like, oh, this was the good content, even though you gave it
Okay.
300 pieces of
You have
garbage.
to label it. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. AI can deal with unstructured data.
Some
it-
noise, but not
It can't be all noise.
pure noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
People are thinking like this. They're just like, just put it in.
Yeah.
Upload everything.
I mean, I think people are thinking like this because a lot of the marketing is trying to sell like that. It's super easy.
The
It can access
salesman,
your stuff. Like,
and laziness as well.
well,
right?
yeah. I mean, we've told people for years. I mean, predictive has been in the market for a decade, and people are mediocre at using it often because, like, the story of predictive is your data has to be real good, and the past has to be
Clean.
worthy of the future. Right? Like, so what you're going to learn and get out of this is based on whether or not the data itself is good and whether or not only the quality is good, but the appropriateness of that quality is good enough to deal with what happens next. Like, is it predictive of what should be happening in the future? If market is changing too fast, if other things are changing, if the business itself like turns a corner or does things totally different, like some of that may change. So because the narrative of predictive for years and years was, yeah, this will do a bunch of great stuff for you, but you have to have really good data and you have to have a pretty good amount of it. People were kind of like, yeah, we'll get there when our data is good. And they just never did. And so the story with generative is like, yeah, it's still also about data. But part of the narrative is, but not like predictive was, which is true. It's not like predictive was. You only need the right data of the right quality
To a
for the
certain
task
level.
at hand,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of it is accounted for in the models, or in a model that you fine-tuned, or in some other unstructured data on the side. But not everything can be a mess. Like, it can't read through a giant disaster area. It still needs some quality
Some quality, some work. Yeah.
and some guidance. Otherwise, everything is the same level of importance or the same level of accuracy,
Yeah.
right?